Hey guys, and welcome to my updated 1-99 magic guide. My old guide is about 4 years old at this point, and there's been quite a few changes to old school, and even more specifically to the magic skill. So I thought it was time for a refresh of my guide. I would argue that magic is one of the most important skills to level in old school, and it has some of the largest variety of training methods out there as well. So to start off, why is magic so good and why do you want to train it? Well, magic offers a wide variety of combat and utility spells which can help you get around the map, level up skills faster, and defeat bosses, so just straight up unlocking the different spells is worth it. But not only that, just leveling up your magic straight up makes you stronger. Getting a higher magic level will increase your actual damage with certain powered staves in the game, on top of making you actually more resistant to magical attacks. And on top of that, the highest requirement for a quest and achievement diary is 75 magic for Dragon Slayer 2 or 96 magic for the Will the Elite diaries, so to complete those you will need to level up your magic pretty significantly. There really are benefits to leveling magic, even all the way to 99 magic, where you get the magic skill cape, which is actually one of the strongest skill capes in the game, allowing you to switch between any of the spell books 5 times a day, which is a very useful perk. Now, magic training can be divided into two main categories: combat magic training and utility magic training. Now, for the purpose of this guide, we'll be using both, but heavily skewed towards combat training. Now, generally when you're training using a utility spell, you are getting a flat amount of magic experience based on the spell that you are casting. There aren't any other factors that can impact your experience per hour, so the benefits of utility spells are they are very consistent and don't require any magic gear. Now, for combat magic training, you are still getting a flat experience amount for casting a spell, but you're also getting an additional amount of experience based on how much damage you do. So that pretty much means that the amount of experience per hour you get using combat training methods varies quite a bit based on the magic gear you have, which can cost a lot of money. But the benefits are that combat training methods are just so much quicker. Now, in Oldschool Runescape, there are 4 different spell books that you can choose from. The standard spell book, which you'll get by default, which has a mix of combat spells and utility spells. We have the ancient spell book, which is primarily focused on combat. We have the lunar spell book, which is primarily focused on utility. And we have the Arceus spell book, which is a kind of hybrid necromancy spell book. We won't be using that one too much. Now, for this guide, there are some quests I would highly recommend you complete on your way to 99 magic. Probably the single most important one would be Desert Treasure, which unlocks the Ancient Spellbook. We're going to be using that one a lot. Monkey Madness 2 is also highly recommended as it unlocks one of the best training locations in the game. Lunar Diplomacy will give you access to the Lunar Spellbook, which has some good options on it as well. And you could also consider completing Dream Mentor for more lunar spells and A Kingdom Divided for more Arceus spells, but not strictly required. So we're going to be covering a couple of different routes to 99 magic, and we're going to start off with the most standard way I would recommend most players to get 99 magic. Okay, so let's get started with level 1. Now, regardless of the route, I would recommend just finishing 2 really quick quests, Witch's Potion and Imp Catcher. This will get you to level 10 magic immediately, and they are essentially instantly completable. They take a minute tops, and afterwards you'll have 2 quests complete and 10 magic. Now, from level 10 magic onwards, we'll be casting our very first spell, and that's going to be the level 1 enchant. Now, all the spells in RuneScape require runes to cast, and you can buy those right from the Grand Exchange. So for example, the level 1 enchant takes a cosmic rune and a water rune. Now, to save money, you can buy yourself an elemental staff. This will give you infinite of 1 or sometimes multiple of the basic elemental runes. So in this case, we need a water staff, which we can go then equip, leaving us with just requiring 1 cosmic rune per cast. Just saves a bit of money, and you'll be using this as often as possible. Now, this spell is very simple. It'll let you enchant a sapphire or opal piece of jewelry. In this case, we're going to be buying sapphire necklaces, which will turn it into a games necklace. This will actually be a profitable training method as well, which is nice. If you manually cast it on each necklace, you can get up to about 32k per hour magic training, which is pretty good since we're so low level. Or you can let it automatically cast as well, but it'll be much slower. We'll make about 45k profit, and it'll take only about 8 minutes to get to level 21. Now at level 21, we can start casting another spell, Low Level Alchemy. This one's actually quite quick. and I think is often overlooked. Casting low-level alchemy on something like an adamant arrow can get you up to 60k per hour, which is really good for the level, and it's dead simple. We just have a stack of adamant arrows in our top right corner, and we can just keep clicking the same spot. It's really simple. You can do this anywhere too. You don't even have to be near a bank because you can have a stackable item. And we're gonna go all the way to 43 magic using this method. It'll take just under an hour, about 45 minutes to do that, and will cost you about 140k. Now at level 43 magic, we unlock another pretty good training method, and that is superheating ore, and specifically we're gonna be superheating iron ore. Now the spell is a little bit more clunky to cast because you actually need to cast it on iron ore in your inventory. So what we're going to be doing is actually filling our bank with bank fillers. What this will do is, assuming you don't have your nature runes in your bank already, it won't let you deposit your runes because your bank is full obviously, but everything else in your inventory you can deposit. Just a nice trick to make this a bit easier, but not really required. So essentially all we have to do is withdraw an inventory of iron ore, go over to our spell panel, cast superheat on the ore. You can either cast it on your entire inventory, or when you're about a quarter of the way, you can just quickly deposit everything and withdraw. I found this to be a little bit easier, but regardless, superheating ore can get you up to about 90k per hour magic experience, which is very fast. And we're going to do this to level 50. Shouldn't really take that long at all, only about 35 minutes, and will cost you just about 50k, so it's not too expensive. Now starting at level 50, we have a really interesting method I would highly recommend switching over to if you feel like getting your toes wet with some low-level PVM, and that would be the new Scurious boss. Scurious is actually an incredible training method for all three combat styles, and magic is no exception. Now this does have one requirement besides 50 magic, and that is having access to a Scurious spine. Now to get this, you actually get it from the boss itself, which means you do need to kill Scurious with another combat style for like an hour or two until you get the spine drop. This method doesn't work very well without it. Now once you get the Scurious's spine, you can combine it with a battle staff and 1,000 chaos runes to turn it into a bone staff. This thing is completely overpowered at Scurious. Now this is probably a good time to talk about magical equipment because this is our first combat training method. Now in 2024, there was a pretty significant rebalance to the magic skill, and magical equipment was part of that rebalance. Now when it comes to magical equipment, by far the most important attribute is magic damage percentage, and that got shifted onto a few pieces of lower level gear. Now because we're level 50 magic, we don't have access to it yet, so we're using full mystic armor with a amulet of glory, a combat bracelet, and a book of darkness. This will all help us be more accurate at Scurious and of course any other monster, but it will not increase our damage. But at level 60 magic, we get access to our first piece of affordable magic damage boosting gear, and that would be Bloodbark armor, and that can actually increase your max hit, which increases your experience per hour. Now the Scurious boss fight really is not too difficult, and it will teach you some important mechanics for PVM later in the game as well. Now the reason this is so good is because the bone staff gives you an extra 10 damage against rats, or really just Scurious at this point. And not only that, there's a bunch of giant rat spawns as well. You can kill in one tick. You can see like we can instantly annihilate them, and each time we get 55 magic experience for killing them. So that increases our magic experience a lot. And not only that, as we level up our magic, our max hit with the bone staff goes up pretty quickly as well. So starting off at 50 magic, you can get about 70 to 80k magic experience per hour, but that can get up to over 100k per hour as your magic level goes up. Now this is actually a break-even or even profitable method because Scurious has decent drops that will pay for your runes and prayer potions, and I would recommend doing this from 50 magic to 70 magic. Doing this all the way to 70 should actually get you a decent profit of between 500k and $1 million, while being pretty competitive with other magic training methods at that level. Now at level 70 magic, we unlock what is arguably the strongest magic training method in the game, and that is Ice Bursting. Ice Burst is unlocked on the Ancient Spellbook, and the best location is Maniacal Monkeys, which requires the partial completion of Monkey Madness 2, but this location is significantly better than any other option. Now another location you could consider is in the Catacombs of Kourend, and that would be Ice Bursting either Dust Devils or Necreals. While this is a significant amount slower, they also do have valuable drops which will help offset the cost of your runes, so you will probably spend half as much money bursting or barraging here, but it's going to be quite a bit slower. Now Ice Burst is an expensive spell, and the amount it costs is going to vary a bit on the gear that you have. Now you once again are really going to want to have gear that prioritizes magic damage. Each extra max hit you get here will not only speed up your experience but also save you money, and it adds up really quickly. Now one big mistake I see people make is they wait too long and wait until they have the optimal gear to burst with, and that's honestly just not worth it. This gear setup here will cost you 400 mil. It will get you the highest max hit possible, but most people who are following this guide probably don't have 400 mil to invest in this gear. This other gear setup though only costs 5 mil. Yes, it's going to be more expensive. Yes, it'll be a bit slower, but it's worth doing it earlier than waiting for perfect gear. Just to put in perspective, going all the way from 70 to 94 magic is only going to cost you 10 mil more with this lesser gear setup. So starting at 70 magic, you're going to want to bring an occult necklace, bloodbark armor, and as soon as you can equip it, a Virtus mask, which is actually pretty cheap, only about 4 mil. Now for your magic weapon, a pretty cheap option is actually the Blue Moon Spear. It'll allow you to auto-cast ancient spells and gives a bit of magic damage as well, and it's very cheap. The only other item you'd want to consider getting soon is a Tormented Bracelet, but that is kind of more expensive now at 20 mil, so it's not entirely required, but it is another nice piece of magic damage boosting gear. Now you unlock the location during the quest for Monkey Madness 2. You have to follow the path you took during the quest, and you can see immediately why this place is so good. Ice Bursting is an area of effect spell, and there's just a plethora of monkeys here that you can start auto-casting the spell with. Now there's a couple different strategies to how you actually kill the monkeys. The one that will get you the highest experience rate requires you to move back and forth frequently. Using one of these corner sections, you'll move in kind of a L shape. This will allow the monkeys to stack up on top of each other and will just allow you to hit more monkeys at once and increase your experience rate. Now assuming you only have the entry level gear, your max hit will be about 26 or 27, and that will get you about 230k per hour magic experience, assuming you're actively running back and forth. If you just run into the middle and just put on auto cast and just AFK, then that will probably get you closer to maybe 190, 200k per hour, so it kind of comes down to playstyle preference. In the end though, going all the way to 94 magic will take between 30 and 35 hours and will cost you about 25 to 30 mil. It is definitely a pretty big cost investment, but magic is such a strong skill, and this is like 2 or even 3 times quicker than other training methods. At level 94 magic, you unlock Ice Barrage, which is just a stronger variant of Ice Burst. It's only about 25% more expensive and will get you an extra 100k per hour magic experience, so in my opinion it is worth it. But you're also more than welcome to just keep Ice Bursting all the way to 99. Ice Barraging from 94 to 99 magic will take about 16 hours and will cost you roughly about 25 mil. Now one thing you could consider doing just to save money is just stop leveling magic at this level. 94 magic is perfectly fine. You don't really need to rush 99, so you could definitely just stop at 94 if you wanted. So in total this route will take about 55 to 60 hours and will cost you roughly about 50 mil. It's more expensive than it has been historically, but still I think this is generally across the board a pretty solid way to get 99 magic. Okay, so now for a change of pace here. What is a good route to get 99 magic if you want to profit? Now magic as a skill isn't the most profitable in the game, and the training methods that do produce some amount of profit are usually quite a bit slower. But for those who don't have the money to train magic using some of the quicker training methods, a route where you profit the entire way to 99 might be perfect for you because you won't need any funding. Okay, so once again, from level 1 to 10, just do Witch's House and Imp Catcher. They are essentially free. There's no reason not to do them. Now starting at level 10, we will be casting the same spells we did in the Balance route, the level 1 enchant spell. Now keep in mind you can enchant both Sapphire Jewelry and Opal Jewelry, and right now, enchanting Opal necklaces is one of the most profitable things you can do, albeit a bit less consistent, but make sure you have a look at both of the jewelry options to see which ones give you the most profit. But generally getting to 27, you should be able to profit around 70k to 100k. Now starting at level 27 magic, we're going to switch over to level 2 enchant. Now right now enchanting Emerald isn't very profitable at all, but enchanting Jade items is insanely profitable. For example, enchanting an Amulet of Chemistry is like a 600 GP profit per cast, which is incredibly good. But once again, make sure you look through all the jewelry options. But even if it's less profitable, I would still recommend doing the level 2 enchant just because it is quicker. You can get close to 60k per hour. And currently you can net yourself a bit over a mil in profit, so pretty decent. And it should only take you about an hour and a half. Now starting at level 49 magic, we're gonna, surprise surprise, move on to the level 3 enchant. We're not going to be doing this too long, just to level 55, and this can get you up to 90k per hour. You'll only be doing this for about 45 minutes, and you'll make a little bit of money. For example, enchanting burning amulets right now is pretty profitable, but really, anything that's break even is workable for now because we're only going to be doing it for just less than an hour. Now, starting at level 55 magic, we can cast a pretty notable spell, High Alchemy. Now, High Alchemy is pretty consistently profitable, and that's why I put it on here. You can very consistently find items on the Grand Exchange that will net you at least a couple hundred GP in profit and can be bought in bulk. For example, right now, some good options would be an Air Battle Staff. You can buy loads of those quickly, and will net you about 200 GP profit. It's a very simple method. You just withdraw your stack of items from the bank noted, you have a whackload of nature runes, and you just start casting High Alchemy over and over and over again. The nice thing about this spell is you can cast it while you do other things like run around the game, train agility, but if you're standing still, constantly casting High Alch, you'll get about 75k per hour, and we're going to go all the way to 69 magic doing this, which will take you about 7 hours, and will profit about 1.5 mil. But starting around level 69 magic, we're going to be moving over to something I think is really underrated, and that is creating ancient and lunar tablets. Now, this was actually added only a couple years ago, and is actually a really good way to train magic while getting a solid amount of profit. Now, the way this works is you will run to either the ancient altar or the lunar altar with an inventory of soft clay and the runes to create the tablet of your choice. Generally, ancient tablets are more profitable but a bit more volatile, while lunar tablets are a little bit more consistent, but less profitable. But starting at level 69 magic, I would personally, right now at least, recommend making Kirill teleport tablets. On average, you can make about 1200 GP in profit per tablet that you make, while getting about 70k to about 100k per hour magic experience. Now, to make ancient tablets, you definitely will want a Pharaoh Scepter, which costs about 3.5 mil. This will allow you to teleport right to the ancient pyramid. You also obviously require Desert Treasure to make ancient tablets. Now, it's a very simple process. We're just going to have an inventory of the runes we need. In this case, for Kirill teleports, we'll need blood runes and law runes. And we'll have a Pharaoh Scepter and a teleport to the bank alongside a full inventory of soft clay. We'll teleport to the pyramid, run around and enter through the back entrance, and then go over to the lectern and start crafting the Kirill teleport. Right now, making most ancient tablets can get you about 1.1 mil profit per hour, somewhat consistently, so it's quite good. Now, I'd recommend going all the way from level 69 to 86 this way, or you could go to 99 if you're crazy, but going to 86 will get you roughly about 38 mil profit and will take you about 35 hours. At level 86, we unlock a really awesome spell, and that is Plank Make. Plank Make is insanely consistent and will allow you to make about 500k per hour GP while getting about 90-ish k per hour magic experience. Now, you might be thinking that's less money per hour, and it certainly is, but it has two main benefits. One is it's insanely easy in AFK. You can leave your computer for about a minute and a half after every cast, so I really like it for that. And more so, the profit is insanely consistent, so you don't have to worry about fluctuating prices of some lesser traded items. Now, you'll be casting Plank Make specifically on mahogany planks. All the other options are really poor in comparison. This is a lunar spell, so you will need access to the lunar spellbook, and we're going to go all the way from 86 to 99 using this method. Going to 99 this way will take up over 100 hours, 110 hours, but it's super relaxed and will net you a profit of about 55 mil. So if you have no money to start with and you want to go with a profitable route, it'll take you about 154 hours to get 99 magic, but will net you almost 100 mil, which is honestly a pretty good way to fund a other skill or get better gear, especially if you're just starting out. Okay, so now let's cover the fastest way to get 99 magic. And there's actually a few new methods that were popularized this year. Now, before we get into this, I want to first cover something that's very useful across any of these routes, but now is definitely going to be important, and that is magic boosting potions. Recently, there was the addition of the Forgotten Brew, which can boost your magic up to 10 levels, and you can use this to boost yourself up to start using a higher level method sooner. And in the case of the fastest route, this is actually going to be pretty important. So you can start off by following the first section of the standard route, as it's only going to take an hour and a half to get to our first fast training method that I would recommend, and that's at 49 magic, and that would be enchanting ruby bolts. Now, bolt enchanting is actually across the board the quickest way to go all the way from level like 3 to 99, but the cost is really obscenely high that I think it's just not realistic for most people to do it. That said, the most cost-effective of the bolt enchanting is unlocked at 49, and that's ruby bolts. Now the way this works is you can essentially hold down the spacebar with the bolt enchanting menu open and click every tick, and you will one tick the spell, which means every 0.6 seconds you will cast the bolt enchant spell, which adds up really quickly to over 300k per hour magic experience. But it is very expensive, so we're not going to do this too long. So we're going to go from level 49 magic to 63, which is kind of an odd level, but we're going to take advantage of the Forgotten Brew to boost up to 71. Now, 71 magic, you unlock a spell in the Lunar Spellbook called Cure Me. Now, what Cure Me does is it cures your venom or poison, but thanks to the addition of the Araxite Den, it's now really easy to get venomed constantly, which means you can spam this spell over and over and over again. It's really easy to do as well. It's actually easier than bolt enchanting, and it's way cheaper and is faster. So that's why as soon as you can, I would recommend switching to this method. Even boosting to get here as soon as possible is definitely worth it. It's half the cost of ruby bolt enchanting, and it's quicker. Now all you need to do is wear your best prayer boosting gear. So I have Proselyte on, Devout boots, a dragon bone necklace, but really just the best you can have. It's not a big deal. Now you come over here to the Araxite Den, which is a bit north of Darkmire, and all you have to do is get 2 Araxites attacking you. Once you have that, you can just spam click Cure Me. Now technically you only have to click it every game tick, but if you just spam click it, it's simpler, and probably turn your volume off too. Now you also want to bring a bit of food with you on top of prayer potions, because you do take venom and poison damage occasionally. But the method is really simple and so quick. You can get 410k per hour with this spell, and theoretically this would be the quickest semi-cheap, in quotation marks, way to get 99, but personally I'd recommend going from 63 to 88 with Cure Me. Now at 88, I would recommend switching over to Ice Barrage, and to do this you will need to use a Forgotten Brew to boost to 98. You could do this earlier theoretically, but it's annoying because your boost will wear off and your spell will stop casting. Now from 88 to 99, just barraging Maniacal Monkeys is once again just going to be easier. Since you are going for the fastest training route, you will have access then to the highest level gear, which can push this method up to 375k per hour magic experience, so it's pretty comparable. And it's a lot cheaper as well. So I think most people, even those who are trying to train the quickest way possible, will realistically just cast Ice Barrage. Going from 88 to 99 will cost you about 30 mil and take about 23 hours. So looking at the total cost, is actually only 20 mil more than the other route, but a fair bit of money was saved by having the expensive gear, so you can't really compare them directly. But the amount of time saved is actually insane. Using the fastest training route only takes about 35 hours. But for those who actually have the gear, using the fastest training methods isn't that much more expensive than a kind of more standard route. Alright, so it's now finally time to talk about the route for AFK Andes. Those who don't really want to pay attention much at all, well, there's some pretty good options for you as well. Now, pretty much all of the most AFK magic training methods are combat related, and that is because with a high enough prayer bonus, you can keep one of your protection prayers up for nearly 10 minutes. And 10 minutes of AFK time is by far the most relaxed training method there is for magic, and it beats any utility spell out there. Now, unless you have some of the highest prayer boosting gear and a high prayer level, you probably will get closer to 5 minutes of AFK. But about a week from now, there's actually going to be a new potion introduced into Old School called the Prayer Regeneration Potion. And if you drink this, it'll slowly restore your prayer over 8 minutes, which means pretty much anybody who has 43 prayer, 4 protection prayers, and a prayer regeneration potion will be able to do any of these methods for about 10 minutes at a time, which is perfect because monsters become unaggressive after 10 minutes anyway, so it works out nicely. So starting at level 10, a very simple and AFK method is just killing ammonite or sand crabs. You'll be using your highest level strike spell, so you'll start off with Earth Strike, and then very quickly you'll unlock Fire Strike. Fire Strike can get you about 18k per hour here, and really the only important piece of gear is a Fire Staff. Now all you have to do is come over to your staff, turn on Auto Retaliate, and start casting your highest level strike spell. You're going to go all the way to level 35 magic, just killing crabs, and they'll only take you about an hour and 15 minutes or so. Now, starting level 35 magic, we can start killing a higher level monster, and we're going to take advantage of a new mechanic added to Old School pretty recently, and that is elemental weakness. Now, certain monsters in Old School have a specific weakness to one of the 4 elemental spells, either earth, air, fire, or water, and these weaknesses range from 0 to 200%. Although that's a very rare case. The highest we can really get right now is a 100% weakness, and essentially what that will do is double our damage and accuracy. So we can get twice our max hit and be incredibly accurate as well. This has a huge benefit because we will not only get more experience from doing more damage, but the gear we have really won't matter as much because we're already so accurate to begin with. So starting at level 35 magic, what we're going to be doing is casting Water Bolt on Fire Giants. Fire Giants are by far the most easy monster to access that has a high elemental weakness. My favorite location is in the Catacombs of Koren, which are unlocked right away. You just have to make your way over to Zaya, go down the catacombs, go a little bit northwest, and you'll find the Fire Giants. They are aggressive, they will attack you, so you do need to protect from melee for this method to work. And the gear you're going to want to wear is all prayer boosting. So some really cheap options are the Monk Robe top and bottom. You can buy yourself a God Mitre, which is also very cheap. You can buy yourself a God Cape, and a God Book would also be good as well. Really just the higher prayer bonus the better, although it doesn't matter too much, it's just going to extend the amount of time that you can relax and AFK for. Pretty much anyone though should be able to get 5 minutes easily. So you want to make sure you're casting a water spell. Right now we can cast Water Bolt, which normally would have a max hit of 12, but that will be doubled to 24 thanks to the 100% weakness to water that Fire Giants have. Now I'm going to recommend going all the way to level 70 using this method, and one item that I would highly recommend getting as soon as you can is Chaos Gauntlets once you get to level 58 magic. Chaos Gauntlets are obtained from the Family Crest quest, and they will increase your max hit with specifically bolt spells, so it's really good for this training method in particular. They're completely free once you have the magic level to do the quest, and they'll increase your experience rate and lower your cost. At level 35 magic, you're going to be getting roughly around 45k per hour magic experience, but with the Chaos Gauntlets, that will go up to 54k while lowering your cost by about 10% or so. Now to get to 70 magic, it'll take about 15 hours and will cost you about 2.6 mil. So once again, at 70 magic, it's Ice Bursting again. I know it seems funny to put it on here so many times, but it's honestly just the best option. You can AFK while Ice Burst to Maniacal Monkeys for easily 5 minutes at a time. It's way quicker than any other AFK method, and it'll be about as cheap as any other except for like casting strike spells, which are going to be literally 20 times less fast. The relative cost of killing Fire Giants with water spells and Ice Burst to Maniacal Monkeys is pretty similar, so I would definitely recommend just switching over to Ice Burst when you get a chance and going all the way to 99 that way. So if you want to take the more relaxed approach here, you don't really want to pay attention, it'll take you about 70 hours to get 99, once again hard carried by Ice Burst, and it'll cost you about 50 mil. So there you go guys, those are 4 routes to get 99 magic, and more so than that, just covering a bunch of different viable training methods that either produce good profits, fast training, don't require much attention. There's of course many methods out there I did not cover, but these are just my personal favorites and I think are worth your time to do them. So thank you so much guys for watching, I hope you found it helpful, and I'll see you next time.